All right. Welcome to another episode of Making Money Work for Regular People, where this channel is dedicated to, well, making money work for regular people. What you thought? What you thought, huh? Yeah. All right. So, um, I just realized something. I made a 40-minute video about 10 minutes ago. I just finished a 40-minute video where I was thinking I had this idea because see, I freestyle, my videos, and I had the idea coming into the video to talk about how the stock market going down is, causing all kinds of panic selling and things like that. And I just got into a whole different tangent, and next thing you know, I end up you know, naming my video, that stock market gains cannot beat 30% APR. Don't know. And like, will I ever get to my original video topic? Because, it's getting kind of late. I'm getting kind of tired, but, at the same time, I feel like it's important to share. But like, so is, oh my goodness, I'm so conflicted. I love being a content creator because I get to create. Of course, the society of U.S. capitalism and me not being wealthy or anything like that, other than on paper. I'm not wealthy on paper either. I'm just that's where my wealth position is on paper. You know what I'm saying? But like, I'm not wealthy at all. Very cash poor. Very cash poor. I could show you my bank account. Got negative zeros up in there. Oh well, let me stop being a fool though. But for real, like, I think like I knew where I was going with it. I just never connected my points in my last video, and so now it's time to connect the dots. So you have a lot of older people panic selling. Like I said, it makes sense because they're older. However, my audience and my target audience are really young people. And if I have, and of course I'm kind of prognosticating, if I could ever get the word out right. So I'm making a prediction that, my target audience is going to be predominantly young men, and maybe some nice women who take an interest in personal finance that want to also kind of like hang with the boys, and y'all definitely welcome to do that. You know what I'm saying? I definitely welcome women. I just think that my primary audience is going to be men, but like, I appreciate any women that come through. Just like in real life. you know. So with that being said, I'm focusing on young people because a lot of times we have really good intentions of becoming the Black Bill Gates and everything, and and we want to own the whole entire Chicago and all this other stuff, but you know it's a process to get wealthy. It's a process. Like I said, I ain't wealthy. You know what I'm saying? I'm still eating beans. I'm always gonna eat beans. Oh my kid. But I'm still, still got the. Let's see. Still representing. You know what I'm saying? Um, but with that being said, we're really the most prone to panic sell because we're young. We just, and like I'm not as young as some of y'all, but nonetheless, we're young. We're just getting started in life, and then if, depending on cultural differences or similarities, um, we're like amongst the first to of our generation to do certain things. Although that's not my case in particular, like a lot of my success in adulthood has been attributed to my mother and just being around my mother as a kid, just soaking up her habits, her her influence, her actions, and just learn from those, and then just kind of like doing my thing behind it because like we have differences like a mug, Love my mama though. But with that being said, you know, I acknowledge that's not the case for most people that I know. Cause I'm from the hood, you know what I'm saying? I'm from the hood, you know? But like I get it, you know what I'm saying? Y'all not gonna ever give me no credit because I'm light skinned and everything, and that's all right because I will admit, like I'm not trying to portray myself as somebody who got out the mud or anything like that because that's not the case. I'm just telling you as a person who comes from a working class family who comes from Inglewood, what my story is and so on and so forth. I'm not trying to, pretend I'm somebody that I'm not. I'm also not going to pretend that I'm holier than thou or that I'm even perfect. In fact, I started this channel telling you how very imperfect I am, including with, you know, um, money and finances. I'm not perfect. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna get back to the whole panic selling thing and the stock market thing. But I'm going to tell you, like, one of my biggest weaknesses right now, as a person who's accumulated some assets, is not having a team. Like, I don't know a tax planner, right? And that's why I always say, even though it's like a running thing amongst us content creators, but like I'm also telling the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why I always say I'm not a financial expert. I'm not a financial advisor. And truth be told, I need to seek more um, financial advice from people who know more than me. Now, don't get me wrong. I think I have a pretty good um, grasp of financial concepts and as far as personal finance and planning and things like that because I went to school for accounting and bookkeeping. I took a bunch of courses in accounting and bookkeeping and personal financial planning. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not just, there's a foundation here, in other words. But I am acknowledging that there are, people who know more than me that I need to um, have a conversation with. And this is why it's so important to really watch who you bring into your circle, especially when you're doing business. You know what I'm saying? But personally too. Like you want to have good people around you. You want to have a good attorney. You want to have a good, tax planner. Um, Although I think I'll always be a little bit more hands on than the average person, just because I have a background, in that, from an educational standpoint. But and that's just my being transparent with you, you know. Um, so now, as it relates to the concept of this show, making money work for regular people, um, I'm very concerned for regular people. Um, you know, in particular, my audience as I envision it, shaping up to be, which will be, relatively young men who are um, the most successful, in our communities and stuff like that, who are up and coming, at, as my goodness, that's how I know that should be in bed by now. Um, in particular, um, and I'm sorry if I messed up her name, but let me just look. I know her face. I know her Instagram is Millennials in Debt. That's also a good show to watch. If you looking for more content on on personal money issues and stuff like that, I definitely recommend that. So her Instagram page is Millennials in Debt. However, um, what's her? No, I'm gonna see if I can just catch her name on my homepage. Um, but like that would be a good person to watch. She's actually, we're pretty close in age for the most part. So, and she kind of like hits, these topics from a millennial's perspective. Um, I'm gonna say from a millennial's lens, because who's to say that millennials have a perspective, right? So, man, I, I swear I could have swore that I need to hit her with the subscription for real, for real. Uh, me, millennials, let me. I don't even know how to spell my own group. Millennial. I'm just try millennial money. Okay, and no, this is the not so diverse version. Uh, hmm. Diamond Chanel. I might take a look at her later. Um, wow. There's some like there's some pretty good content out here. Um, I want to check out. Shoot. Um, yeah, I'm gonna try to find it before the end of the show, before the end of this taping. Oh, there we go. I think. Okay, so it's the same. Millennial in Debt. That's the name of the channel. Um, and she's got a really good um, channel going for herself. Um, you know, thus far, 40,000 subscribers, and over 200 episodes. Yeah, so when if you decide that you want to check her out, I would definitely recommend that. Um, but yeah, but getting back to this whole, you're gonna see a lot of your friends, selling rims. I'm just trying to relate, to what you know or what you might be familiar with. You might be seeing your friends selling rims if they got rims. They might be selling their Monte Carlo. They might be selling their little their car, their gym shoes. Their Jordans if they're still in sellable condition. And so I want to pretty much um, talk about a way that you can, if you're in this situation, you gotta sell your stocks and your possessions, and you gotta pawn off things. Then yeah, do what you gotta do right now, because what I'm saying here is not gonna help you for the present. It's gonna help you for the future. Okay. And then of course you're gonna remember this experience for the rest of your life anyway, because it's a time in your life that's just significant. Just like when I got fired from my very very first time I ever got fired. Um, I had a low level supervisory position, and me kind of like bumping heads with management. I got let go. That's the version I'm gonna put out in public. Um, Actually, I still got people on my Facebook um, page that actually knows what happened. So that's why I'm not gonna get into that. But anyway, I ain't know no better. I should have went on unemployment. But instead I was dumb enough um, to pretty much because I was ashamed. Um, I was pretty much dumb enough to allow to have them, put down in my records that I voluntarily resigned. When in reality, just looking back, um, it's it's not going to have. Um, it looks bad on in print, I guess, but like it's not going to affect you one way or the other. You still gotta answer. You might have to answer that question as to why did you decide to leave, or something of that nature. And so it's not gonna help you avoid that question unless they don't ask it at all, you know. So you know now, so I ended up pawning my drum machine and it was a rolling shoots. It was a basic rolling drum machine. It was from 20 years ago, and I also pawned off my MPC 2000. I mean, I wasn't much of a producer, no way. So you know what I'm saying. So, but I could have been. Man, if I had been able to keep that equipment, um, I could have learned how to make beats better. Um, excuse me. And so that's the point. That's a low point in my life. I'll always remember. Um, yeah. So I know you're gonna remember this moment if you're in a position where you're selling off your stuff and everything because I don't know, your car got impounded, you got laid off or whatever, and you waiting on that unemployment check to get certified. You waiting on that first certification letter. Um, I know how it is. And so what you're going to be seeing is a lot of people selling stuff off. Now, to avoid this situation in the future, one, you have to have a mindset that you're preparing to be laid off or fired. Excuse me. You're always in preparation for being laid off or fired or just, some catastrophic life event. um, just to give you guys transparency, it took me a long time to really build wealth because, as a millennial, I never had any kind of financial security throughout my young adulthood. I kept getting laid off or working low paying jobs, wasn't married to a successful woman, wasn't married at all. Um, and I'm gonna get to the woman in another episode or something. I'm pretty sure, but having a good woman is very important, and we underestimate and underrate that component. Because a good woman can get you through a lot of adversity. Just with her being a person who's working towards your marriage, your relationship, your marriage. Just because she could just pretty much hold you down. You know, but you gotta hold her down too. Cause that's what real men do. But I digress. So I didn't have very many opportunities to build wealth. And when I did, when I was, when I, started working at the startup, you know, I grabbed that opportunity with both hands. And guess what? 5 years later, I got laid off from that job due to COVID. So nothing's safe out here. And so if you're smart, you're going to prepare for worst case scenario and hope it never happens. And then if it does happen, I'm here to tell you from personal experience, you can bounce back. You know, You might go into a state of depression. I don't know how you're gonna deal with it, but you can bounce back from this. You can bounce back and attack this, um, and be better off than before. And because I spent so many years struggling, I didn't know I was ill prepared for any kind of wealth infusion. Yeah, because you don't understand like how you need to protect your money. And the best way to protect your money is to pay down and pay off debt. Let me rephrase. Let me rephrase that because that was actually wrong. The best way to protect your money is to pay down and pay off completely pay off your credit card debt. Mortgage debt is probably the best debt you can, get, because even with the mortgages going up, plan to go up, you're still going to be able to borrow money at 5%. Yeah, it may not be 3.5% or 3.2% like some of y'all lucky people got, but nonetheless, you're borrowing at a still a very low rate, you know, compared to credit cards. You never gonna beat 30% APR. Never. Never. These credit cards are juice loans. Low key. They're just not labeled as such. But, before you know it, you're gonna be paying out the nose and out the butthole. So the best way to avoid being in a position where you gotta sell everything you own is to operate from day one. Your first job out of college, you need to be putting away 10% of your money into an emergency savings fund, and then whatever credit card debt that you have, you need to pay that stuff off. And if you can't pay it off tomorrow, then you're going to have to pay it off over the course of months and years. But you have to have a plan, and you cannot pay the minimum payment, or else you'll be paying that off for like another 20 years. So your job number one out of college is to attack any credit card debt you have and to build your emergency reserve fund. Save 10% a year. 10% of every one of your paychecks from now until you stop working. So that means, in the if you start, let's say you come out of college and you start working, in the middle of the year, then you save 10% for the middle of that year, and then next year and all the years after that, you save 10% for the whole year. Every paycheck you get, you put that thing into your emergency savings fund until that thing, amounts to a year's worth of expenses. After a year's worth of expenses, then you decide where you're gonna put the other 10%. Excuse me, let me rephrase that because sinus problems and shit. And so now once you get to a year, and it's gonna take you a couple years. I'm gonna just do the math for you. You don't have to, you know, do the hard work in your mind. It's gonna take a couple years. It's gonna take um, it's gonna take at least 2 years, probably more like 3 years to, because you're gonna dip into your emergency funds, like if your car needs to get fixed or something like that. So shit happens. But after you're at like 12 to 12 to 14 months expenses and you're maintaining that comfortably, now now is the time to start investing, to start diverting that 10% into the stock market, or maybe you do 5% and 5%, five for emergency fund and five for the stock market for maybe another year, and then you just um, put the whole 10% in there. Or because if you got a year's worth of living expenses, it's time to buy a house. Yeah, you probably forgot. Well, you probably never saw that episode because again, I'm just a nobody on YouTube who's trying to build an audience and a reputation. But you want to buy when you buy your house, you want to buy a house that needs a little bit of work, not too much. You don't want to do no gut rehab and go into a big HGTV type of rehab and try to be um, Armando Montalongo. Well, that's from years ago. I'm dating myself now. But you don't want to go into. In other words, if your general contractor is telling you that um your renovation cost is going to be over um 70 grand, you don't want to buy that property. Let me say that again. If you're a general contractor, the one that HUD is going to require you to work with, um, well, you can pick any general contractor as long as he's licensed and all that. But if your general contractor says, and you've gotten three bids and they're all over $100,000, you do not want to buy that property. I don't care if it's a two flat. Yeah, and trust me, I have a bunch of friends in the trades, and especially carpenters, because carpenters just like to rebuild shit anyway. They think that every real estate project is like dealing with Legos. They want the opportunity to rebuild everything. Gut it down to the studs and just start over. That's what they love to do. They love a shell, and I understand that concept, but you don't want to do that for your house. You do not want to do that because again, what you want, your house is going to be the first, the foundation of your wealth for a lifetime. Now, you might make the majority of your wealth outside of real estate, but that real estate is going to be the foundation of your wealth position, and it might, enable you to start up a business later on down the road. I don't know. I don't know what the future holds. I'm just talking. I'm just, brainstorming and throwing out some things that might stick to this blue wall. Well, it's really great, but who cares? So, but I want you young people to get off to a good, especially young men, because man, I'm seeing y'all sad, man, y'all just sad. Y'all don't have no confidence. Y'all don't have no confidence because y'all don't own nothing, and y'all don't control nothing, and so y'all just naturally subservient. Don't do that. Don't do that. Like, let's get you started off right. Get your own house by the time before you're 25. Um, get your own house. In fact, get your own house before you even get a car. Get your own house. Get through the FHA 203K program or the Fannie Mae. I forget the name. The Fannie Mae. I want to say rebuilder program, but I'm screwing it up right now. When I have the correct Fannie Mae program, I'll put it in the description. I'll probably do another video on this again because these topics kind of repeat, have a way of repeating, I should say. Um, but yeah, if your contractor tells you, oh yeah, the rehab on this going, so this is what is in your BOR, you know, um, which is a bid on repairs. This is what's in your BOR, and let's see, yeah, well they actually have a system and software that they use um, to generate bids. They just need to take measurements, and the bid is based on the measurements of each room, basically. But anyway, if your GC tells you that your rehab is going to be, you know, um, in the six digits, which is 100,000 and up, don't do that. In fact, you really don't want to. You really don't want a rehab that's over. I mean, if you can help it, of course. I mean, sometimes you just can't help it, but you really don't want a rehab that's more than 60 or 70,000. I'm gonna say 75,000. 75,000. That's a cutoff mark, and you gotta commit to a cutoff mark. Maybe 80. It's got to be less than 80,000 or right at 80,000. You just do not want to get into the trip because you don't want the purpose of buying a house that's undervalued that needs some work is so that you can um, walk away with some equity. You're gonna force equity just by renovating the house anyway. What you don't want to do is you don't want to get yourself, you know, caught up into this idea of over renovating the house. But you do, want to get the important stuff. Like if your furnace is 20 years old or more, heck, I would even say 10 years or more. Chuck that thing and put a new one in there. Using that budget. Hot water tank, and the furnace and the air conditioner, the HVAC, the central air. Yeah, those units. if they're old, get rid of them, replace them because they're expensive to replace when once as out of pocket. So just use the budget for that. You know, that way, once you move in, you got AC, you got hot water tank, and you got a furnace that's all under a year old, and that's the kind of shape you want to be in. That's going to enhance value to your house. No kidding. And so they I mean, people, the experts say that those mechanicals don't really add value, but they do. You might not see it in an appraisal or anything like that, but you're gonna feel better, moving into a house where you're probably not gonna have to worry about replacing those items for another 20, 30 years. And by then, you probably moved out anyway and sold it for profit. But, I'm just talking. Just talking. Not a financial expert, not a real estate agent, not an appraiser. I'm just a light skinned dude who's from Inglewood who now lives in the suburbs. That's all. But yeah, so you probably want to get your house if you graduated 22, 23 years old. You probably want to get your house by the time you're 25, 26. And so that's part of where your emergency money will go to, down payment and closing costs. And that's fine. And then you just rebuild. And getting a house in this manner does two things. One, you're gonna pay a lower mortgage on average than you would by just going out into the open market, the retail real estate market, and finding the same 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house for, I'm gonna say, $330. Yeah. So I mean, granted, I'm talking about Chicago now, and even though these houses are, I'm talking about these houses that need work. Excuse me. In up and coming neighborhoods, right? And these houses that need work, they used to be $30,000 now, and they used to be around 50,000, and less. Now they're about 80,000, and then you put another 80,000 to the rehab, and so you're gonna pay a mortgage on $160,000, which is way better than $330. Way better. Okay. My mortgage ain't never been that much, but I'm taking into account today's current market, real estate market and environment, which I can't predict and I don't know. But 160, even if there's a downturn, 160 is still a good price. It's better than 330. And then if there is a downturn after you buy your house and move in, guess who's going to recover a lot faster? You are. Because it takes first of all, let's say your house and the house is currently priced at $330 on average. in Auburn Gresham, which is up and coming. They say. Be careful over there. And like I go anywhere. Don't get me wrong. I travel anywhere and everywhere. Um, but I'm just saying, like, and I'm from Inglewood. Don't forget that. But you know, just so like but I'm giving real prices here. So let's say you get done with your 203K loan, you buy your house for 80,000, and you fix it for another 80,000. Your total mortgage is gonna be 160 minus whatever the 3.5% down payment, and that's on 160 by the way. So be prepared. All right. So 3.5% 160. Yeah, it'll bring you down to the 150s somewhere in there. I just don't feel like counting too much right now. Whereas, okay, so whereas the 330 property, and chances are most, yourself or whoever buys that property over there is going to buy it under FHA loan. So still 3.5%. That's like that's a little bit over. I'm gonna say it's about 11 grand in down payment. So now your mortgage principal will be 319. Okay, so now let's just say in a down that there's a downturn next month. I'm going to accelerate these things, and I'm gonna just pretend that it has full effect on prices like immediately. So let's say in an average recession, the price of real estate goes down about 20%. Which affects everything. It affects um, general contractors. It affects building. It affects everything. Because typically, and this is what they don't tell you, um, most rehabs and most houses do not, the investor loses money on, especially when they're a novice. You see, I don't be recommending no real estate investments. I don't recommend flipping, and it's because flipping is risky. Will I do it someday? Yeah, but I feel like I know a lot more of what I'm doing than I did in the past. But would I recommend somebody buying a house for the first time and flipping it? No. I think you need to learn how to manage property. I think after that, your second house should, either be the next house that you move to, and that you keep your first house as a rental. Because then you start understanding, like, you have a better understanding, like, what stuff costs and stuff like that, just from managing the rental. Um, wow, I'm at 50 minutes. Gosh. Look, I swear, I'm going to average 15 minutes someday on these videos. I swear. But yeah, to avoid being in the situation where you got to sell everything, start off the first 2 years of your life, you know, um, paying off your debt, off your credit card debt, and investing 10% of all your paychecks into your emergency fund. And then when that gets, fulfilled, chances are you're gonna have enough money to buy a fixer upper home. And when I say a fixer upper home, I don't mean no full gut. I mean, and it would be best if you could find a house that an old person owned once upon a time. You know, and the house is still nice, but it's just outdated. And there's some delayed maintenance. But one thing about old people, they do not like to be cold and they don't like to be hot. So even though in Inglewood that's not necessarily the housing set up, but like in the suburbs and stuff, that's how it is. Um, but even in traditionally black neighborhoods, you know, old people going to make sure that that roof don't drip, drip, drip because they don't want their house to cave in on them. That's like you an empty nester or whatever, and you done worked hard to get all the kids off to establishing adulthood or whatever, and your roof cave in on you because you didn't. No, they're gonna spend whatever they have, and they usually have some level of homeowners insurance that'll pay for the roof anyway. They're gonna make sure that roof gets fixed. They're also gonna make sure that the their heater is in good condition. So mostly what you're dealing with, you know, is an outdated kitchen, outdated bathroom, um, wallpaper maybe, the disgusting panels maybe. So so when your renovation is more like more of addressing delayed maintenance, then that's how you keep your renovation costs down. you know, and believe it or not, um, the the actual this is gonna sound goofy to a lot of y'all, but paint has the highest return on value of any changes you can make to a house. Paint. That's it. That's all. And okay, if there's like I got a hole in my drywall over there because of the doorknob, fixing drywall and painting over it to match the paint. Big ROI. You know, and in the kitchen, the appliances, but really it's the paint. It's all about the paint. Um, Paint makes houses look more modern, believe it or not. Yeah. So if you can get a neutral color or a nice warm earth tone, you know, thumbs up. And so you start off, first of all, you're going to save, over $160,000 over what the retail buyer is going to pay for that 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom house that looks nice and modern, but really it's nice paint. And then let's say the market does, the price of your house falls 20% and his falls 20%. Um, so it goes from 330 to 270, goes from 160 to 132. No, 128. You're going to recover faster because you're really closer to the bottom anyway. You're going to recover way fast. It's going to be way easier to get from 128 back to 160 and then 20% above that to sell you to sell or to borrow, whatever you want to do with your property, right? It's your property. Versus the other homeowner who done lost, who done lost 66% in value, to go from I can't believe I just did that. To go from 264 back up to 330. That's hard. That's really hard. And it takes years to do that. And not only that, you're not, paying to be deep underwater. I mean, you could possibly go underwater, but I'd rather be 32,000 underwater than to be 66,000 underwater. So think about that too. Think about all the mortgage interest you're saving in comparison to the other homeowner. And think about your house better than that other homeowner too. Like he's gonna have surprises that come up. You're gonna find out that his house ain't that, in such good shape. He's gonna find out that that whoever flipped that house cut corners in different places. It's crazy. So make that the cornerstone. Like whatever talent that brings you up in the world or whatever, you still have a good solid foundation. And that's what counts. And you're addressing your consumer debt and paying it off. And now you can put that 10% towards the stock market from now on, and always, keep about 15,000, 20,000 in the bank. You're prepared. You're a lot better prepared than most young men. So I'm gonna leave you with that, and I might do one more video. I don't know. I'm getting kind of tired, and I'm starting to cough from all this talking and stuff. So, but anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please, yeah, I'm begging, like my video, please. No, but for real though, please like my video. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. It's good for the channel. Good night.